So the last of the Canadian troops have left Afghanistan, and although they were there on a peacekeeping mission, it was still military occupation of another country. And I watched a news story in which I think 4 families, 6 children of fallen Canadian soldiers, soldiers that died within the Afghanistan occupation peacekeeping mission. I believe it was 12 years they were there. So in this interview, I think 6 children are interviewed, 4 different families. And I was really surprised. I'm not sure why I was surprised, but I was taken back at the sadness of the interviews of the children, the deep grief and confusion. Why this has happened? Why is their dad not coming back? The other Canadians are coming back and their father isn't. And mostly what I got from them, there was a few ways they seemed to deal with it. A few of the teenagers said, well, it was, in a way, not worth it that they died, but they found solace in the fact that their father loved being a peacekeeper. They loved military. They loved the Canadian role of peacekeeping and going into a nation and helping rebuild, and helping the citizens rebuild. And that this, at least, their father died doing what he loved. And then a few others really, just didn't have that. They were more looking at things, and one of the boys investigated quite a bit history and said, yeah, a little bit of stability was brought to the area, but probably won't last. When the Canadian troops are gone, it's already assumed by many, not just this young man, but in Afghanistan, that the Taliban, other tribal forces will come back in. So he said, really, what did my dad die for? Nothing. So, interestingly, just listening to him, it was very powerful. I will include the link in the description box. His sadness and confusion was very powerful. And really, it's a huge statement, because it's the same thing whether a military group is there on a peacekeeping mission or not. It's the same answer every time, isn't it? Why was this life lost? Or perhaps a soldier comes home with no legs, or is mentally and emotionally so traumatized it literally ruins the rest of their lives, and so affects the whole family. And this is what occurs in war: tragedy, war after war, conflict after conflict. And yet we don't learn. And yet, you hear the comments from, the U.S. president and Putin going back and forth. But I personally find the U.S. Comments more hypocritical than what they're accusing Putin of right now. Anyway, back to the message of the video. The other thing I saw recently was an article of a young Israeli woman saying, in Israel they have a mandatory time in the military, I guess, to train, should they be needed, called upon to serve in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine. So serve in the army. And so this girl turned 18, perhaps that's the age, and said, she did some investigation. She said, no, I'm not going to do my mandatory training. No, I refuse. I refuse to be used as a pawn for people of Israel, suggesting that this is what I need to do to train to kill others in the name of Israel. She said, I don't agree. I don't think, she's going back in history and saying this happened, this didn't happen. She wasn't doing that. She was more saying this is today, this is who I am, and no, this is not how I want to continue. She wasn't wiping out history by any means. And I will include the link of that article as well. And I thought, good for her, because surely this conflict can be resolved peacefully. Nothing's working. It's just more lives lost. It's just more tragedy. This woman is absolutely right. And there is a solution. A lot of war and conflict, when you bring it back, when you really take a look at it, is because of money. People don't have enough. They're suffering. They're starving. They are barely able to survive. Comes back to basic needs being met, in which there is a solution. There is a solution that is proposed called living income guarantee, in which each person, each nation, will be provided with what they need. And when that happens, over time, boundaries and territories, we'll still have the lines for economic reasons, keep track of people, for safety, but they won't be necessary. Because if your needs are met, your needs are met. Get on with some more enjoyable parts of life. So please investigate living income guarantee and become part of the solution. So our children don't need to be faced with this hypocrisy that we are giving to them, showing to them. Come and fight, kill your fellow man. Thank you.